Unlocking levels, unlocking levels, unlocking levels. Hosted by Seal the Source. Tap in.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Seal the Source, and I'm back with another brand new episode of Unlocking Levels. Thank you once again for tuning in. Hope all is well on your side. Everything's going well on my side. Life has been an amazing journey so far. Every day I wake up in a state of gratitude, even though so much is going on and my body feels exhausted at various points. I feel I am very much fulfilling my life's mission and my life's purpose every single day. I'm learning, constantly challenge myself to elevate, look at everything in life as an opportunity. I'm constantly letting life teach me, and it's been amazing. My mindset has been developing more and more. I was actually just talking to one of my best friends today back home in San Francisco, and we were just talking, man. He's one of my best friends, one of the smartest people in my life, and every time we connect, you know, it's almost like we put a battery pack in each other in terms of just reminding ourselves what our mission is, what we're doing, reminding ourselves of some of the earlier visions we had when we were younger. And a lot of times it's just really, really uplifting pep talks that we give each other. And today we was just talking, and I was telling him about the mindset that I feel like I've developed, and the way I described it was that I got like a Teflon mindset right now. Ain't nothing really shaking my belief system. I firmly stand on what I believe, and I stand on what I say. And I've been developing my personality and my mindset for quite some time now. And I'm just confident in what it is I believe and what it is I stand for, and what direction I'm moving in. So, part of that conversation really just continued to remind me that I got so many blessings, you know what I'm saying? And that when you get nostalgic in a sense, and you kind of go down memory lane and tap in with folks that have known you from such a young age to now, to see that evolution in all aspects of your life, it's a reminder of how far you've come. And for me, the conversation definitely always reminds me how far I've come, and that's what we do for each other. I got a lot of really great people in my life. I'm really grateful for that. And the mindset has been everything, but I do believe that everything that happens in life definitely happens for you. Even though sometimes this shit seems so fucking crazy, I still do believe that everything does happen for you. And I think that there's always something to be gained and some lesson to be learned. And sometimes the lessons are not easy to take in, but there's something there. There's always some sort of silver lining, no matter how bad or good the situation is, you know what I'm saying? So just got to pay attention. And I feel like I'm more tapped in than I've ever been. And with the way that things are moving and the direction I'm moving in, I just know that it's inevitable that everything that I envision for myself and all my loved ones is going to happen, because I've already seen evidence of that in so many different areas of my life, and I'm just so grateful. That's what helps me continue to be grateful, aside from the essential things that I have in my life that I know a lot of people don't have. And I get the reminder every day when I see homeless people in downtown. Even out here in Hawaii, there's a big homeless population, and it's just a constant reminder of just to be grateful for what you got. You may not have everything you want in life or what you feel like you want in life, but you got so much, and you got more than enough, and there's always someone out there that has it worse than you. So I think to keep that frame of mind is really important. And you'd be a fool not to take advantage of what you have in front of you, because we are in America. We won the lottery by being over here, and really you can make yourself to be what you want to be out here. It's really up to you at the end of the day. And a lot of my podcasts that I create for y'all is to help remind you of who you are. you know what I'm saying? And to develop that confidence. And that's a big step in the evolutionary journey of progression and development. So that's what I'm learning. That's kind of the stage I'm at right now. And I'm just so open to whatever life kind of throws at me. And I'm challenging myself to look my fear in the eye and move in spite of the fear. You know what I'm saying? And take risks. And I think that's a perfect kind of transitional point for me to be able to talk about what the topic of discussion for today's episode is. And as I was trying to decide what I was going to talk about this week around, I had several different topic ideas of what I wanted to discuss, but this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. But I think it's the timing is even more impeccable because we just had the 4-year death anniversary for Nipsey Hussle, which was on March 31st, of when his life was taken and he transitioned. So it's a perfect time for me to talk about something that I wanted to talk about for so long, which is Nipsey Hussle and all the things that I've learned from him and why I gravitate to him in the spirit and the work that he put out. You know what I'm saying? Now, Nip Hussle, if you don't know who he is Ermias Ashgetum. He's a rapper from Los Angeles, grew up in the Crenshaw district of LA and Slauson to be exact. And as I mentioned, we just came across his 4-year death anniversary, so he's no longer with us. His life was taken by Eric Holder out on the streets of Slauson, right in front of his store, the Marathon brand clothing, the Marathon clothing brand, right there in Slauson, on Slauson. And it's a really unfortunate thing, but the beautiful thing about it is that Nip left so much. He left so much game that continues to resonate and ring throughout his music, through the communities, and his spirit really just transcends like everything that he worked for and he worked towards. And I'm so grateful for that. Now, I must say, I wasn't always a Nipsey Hussle fan. I didn't even really know much else about him, aside from him being a rapper, until I started becoming more of a fan of his work, which was, this is sad to say, was after he passed away. And I'm not afraid to say that because I'm just glad that I came across his work. You know what I'm saying? Now, Nip is not the most like he's not the most popular rapper out there. I bet there's a lot of people out there that would say that Nip's raps are, not even the most complex or like the most, he's not really probably people wouldn't put him up there with like the best rappers ever or anything like that. I don't know, maybe people do, but as a hip hop fan, I know that there are a lot more lyrically talented folks out there, but Nip brought way more to the table than just lyrics. You know what I'm saying? I kind of touched on it. It's how he lived his life. And just to kind of give you a backstory of what I know about Nip, because I read his book, or the book that was written on him, like his biography, and by, I believe it was Robert Kenner. Really, really great book. And Nip lived a really challenging life. And I'm going to sum it up the best that I can. I'll let you kind of do your own research and find out who Nip was and what he went through in early stages of his life and things of that nature. But I'll just say that, Nip grew up in the hood. He grew up in the projects out there in Los Angeles. And, that has a lot impact on people. Clearly, that type of environment is not the most healthiest environment. There's a lot of madness and chaos that goes on in those environments. And Nip grew up in that. And earlier on as a kid, Nip was a very gifted and smart child, from what the book says. And, you know, growing up in that hood area, you know, he gravitated towards that gang life and that street culture, and, you know, essentially got into it. He got down with the Rolling 60s Crips, which is a notorious gang out there, very well known, got a huge street presence. And Nip wasn't just no rapper. Like, he was really like a gangster before rap, like, for real, you know what I'm saying? And he was a hustler. He was well known. And, you know, he wasn't, like, let's just be honest with you. Like he wasn't the best person in those times in his life. I'm sure he's done a lot of dirt, as a lot of gangsters have done, a lot of hood folks have done, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'll just say this: ain't nobody perfect. I got dirt on me. I'm not squeaky clean. I guarantee you who's listening, you know, you ain't squeaky clean either. Ain't nobody perfect. And, you know, I'm not even trying to justify anything that anybody like Nipsey Hussle or Nipsey Hussle, you know, I'm not trying to justify anything that they did in their past life. You know what I'm saying? I'm just merely trying to say that, like, a lot goes into who you become as an individual, how you grew up, where you grew up, who you grew up around, you know what I'm saying, what you learned early on, you know what I'm saying, what was passed on down to you in terms of, you know, how to live life and things of that nature. And for Nip, he grew up in the hood, one of the most dangerous hoods in LA. And, you know, ultimately he got to a point where he wanted to start rapping. And, you know, like most stories you hear about rappers is like they start off with an interest in it, and then, you know, some tend to fizzle out, and then some double down, triple down, and commit themselves further to their craft, whether that mean, you know, just continuing to practice on street corners, or just start recording music, like, seriously, and investing into products that can help them record and help the sound quality more, or whatever the case may be. And Nip did exactly that. Nip realized the vision at a certain point, and he made sacrifices in order to invest in himself. And even then, because he was so connected to the gang culture, he was raided several times, actually, when things were really starting to take off for him. He was raided, and his equipment was stolen and taken, and you know, he basically had to start from scratch so many different times. And in moments like that, it's easy for someone to be like, man, fuck this, I'm done. I'm not gonna go through that again, you know what I'm saying? But Nip didn't do that, man. I think Nip, he developed this concept of the marathon continues, and I think he just accepted that in life there's going to be adversity, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be struggles, and you don't even know what form they're going to come in sometimes. So you just have to kind of, sometimes you got to take your L's, take it on the chin, and, you know, at the end of the day, keep it moving. I think that's what the whole marathon continues concept really tries to hone in on. And you know, I'm leaving out a pretty big portion of Nip's life, is where he went back to Eritrea, and he learned about his family's bloodline, you know, and how it connects to, like, royalty and things of that nature. And that was really big in the book. So the book tells us the story of when he started as a youngster, and he got into the gang life and was getting into a lot of trouble. And then when he was starting to make that turn in his life in terms of, like, focusing more on, like, development and taking his craft seriously and start serving the community, and you know, living a life of spirituality, you know what I'm saying? And he really immersed himself into his own development kind of ways, you know what I'm saying? And but he always stayed true to who he was. You know, Nip was no pushover, that's for damn sure. And one of the biggest reasons why I even want to have this episode is because I just want to share what I learned from Nipsey Hussle, what I continue to learn from Nipsey Hussle, and how he's made an impact on my life. You know what I'm saying? Even though, like I mentioned, I'm a brand new fan. I only started listening to him after he passed away, which is not even that long ago. And I will say to that I've gained so much from Nip, and I'm so grateful. He's actually somebody that I aspire to be like in a lot of different ways, because he's living proof, or he was proof, that you could be a certain type of way for, a certain amount of time, but you can make that turn. You could turn that corner and you can be something completely different and reinvent yourself, and you can grow, and you don't have to be what others tell you got to be, or what others expect you to be. You know what I'm saying? And for him, and a lot of people that grow up in that environment, a lot of people are expecting them to just be statistics. But there's so many people that come out of that environment and are able to do more for themselves and for those around them, even with the limited resources that they have, even with the odds stacked against them. And Nipsey Hussle is one of those people that came from out of that environment and made a way. And not only made a way, but he showed that it could be done in the hood. He had his store right there off Slauson, where he grew up at. A lot of times you'll hear stories of folks leaving the hood, and who can blame them? It's a very treacherous type of situation to be in, growing up in the hood. You just never know when you can either get robbed, killed, and people plotting on you. It's all sorts of stuff out there in the hood that you got to be on the lookout for sure. So, when you can afford to do it, why would you not want to move away? But it's also hard to say that it's hard. I can imagine when you're from there, it's because like all your family's there, all your friends there, everything you grew up around is there. So it's like, it's not that easy to just make that jump and just leave the hood, even though like it sounds simple and it sounds like the smartest thing to do. It's just not that easy. And I think Nip wanted to prove a point that like it takes the hood to save the hood. Like he didn't want to just leave, take from the hood and leave the hood like a lot of people do. He wanted to build within the hood to help the hood, to save the hood. And Nip was working on that, man. I mean, if you follow the work that he was doing towards the end of his life, everything was basically done in homage of and paying in respects to his hood on Slauson. You know what I'm saying? And if you listen to his interviews, man, this guy is so gamed up. He's just got so much value that he drops on you. So many gems. Smart ass dude, and very self-aware, and just very understanding about the energy. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, it was too late, really. I do believe that he felt that, hey man, everything kind of just caught up to him. You know what I'm saying? And because I believe, whether it was in a book or some other interview, something like that, or something I saw told me that when Nip was basically taking his last breath, but before Eric Holder took it, put the final shot in him, he basically was, damn. He basically said like, damn, you got me. Like he knew it was gonna come at some point. It's like he understood the inevitability of death, and he knew that he wasn't gonna live forever. And I think towards the end of the book, he talked about, or the author talked about, Nipsey was just so focused. He didn't want to waste no time on nothing. Maybe he sensed that his life wasn't gonna be he wasn't gonna be here forever. You know what I'm saying? Obviously none of us are, but like he probably realized, like, I need to have a bigger sense of urgency, because you just never know when we're gonna go. And I mean, if that happens to be true, he was absolutely right. And I think that right there is one of the hugest lessons I've taken from Nip, because in the book there's a specific moment where, after Nipsey Hussle passed away, the author describes interaction between a fan and Nipsey Hussle's mom. And the fan just comes to Nipsey Hussle's mom, just breaks down in tears, just crying like, "I'm so sorry about your son. Yeah, I wish this didn't happen." And the fan was just like super distraught. And the mom was like, surprisingly holding it together. And she was like, "Please, please, you don't need to cry. You don't need to be sad, because my son now knows what the greatest secret to life is." And this is where I was really paying attention, because I wanted to find out what the greatest secret to life was. And the way she said it to this fan, it really rocked my core and made me reflect a lot on it. And she basically said, the greatest secret to life is to prepare for death. And I don't know how you take that, but for me, when I heard that, I had to sit on it for a little bit, and I had to really kind of ponder what that really meant. And after a little bit of thinking and sitting on it and marinating on it for a little bit, I came to realization is it's like, look, we're all going to pass. We don't know when it's going to be. We don't know what's going to happen to us, how it's going to happen, but we know we're going to pass. So every moment that we live in our life should lead up to the preparation of that, in terms of, and that means living as full of a life as you can. You know what I'm saying? Preparing yourself, like making sure you're in the richness of every moment, telling the people that you love them, doing things that you love to do. You know what I'm saying? And in whatever line of work or whatever you're doing, try not to rush so much to the next thing, because this moment is all we really have. You know, the future is not promised for any of us. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to wake up. I don't know what. There's no guarantee. You know what I'm saying? And I've talked about this multiple times before, but that's really what I gathered from her saying that. And that really made me change my entire perspective on death. And that actually, I think, set off a whole kind of chain of events for me, where I started to meditate on death. You know what I'm saying? And meditate on the impermanence of life. You know what I'm saying? In the Buddhist culture, and if you study spirituality, it talks about just that. You know, like nothing's guaranteed. Things are always changing. And you know, if you think about it, as soon as we're born, the aging process begins. You know, and we're getting closer to death. You know, so I think, you know, take that for whatever you will. I've really internalized that in my own way, and it really broke that down in a lot of ways. But I would just say that that was probably the biggest thing that I've learned from Nip and Nip's mom, and, you know, the way Nip lived his life. But there's so many other different things, you know what I'm saying? I've learned, like I mentioned, the marathon continues. For me, that really just means keep going. You know, like when you set out to do something, when you got a goal, I'll take, for example, my podcast. I've been at it for almost 3 years now. And, you know, I've grown, but I'm still not really where I envision myself to be. And I take full responsibility and blame for that. You know, I have shown inconsistencies. You know, I haven't really, I know that there's like another level I can get to in terms of how I produce myself and what I do. And I'll be honest with you, I have so many other different things going on, so I haven't gone all in with my podcasting. But you know, so I take full responsibility. But I think the biggest reason why I want to use that as an example is because I know it takes time too. I know that when things happen the way you envision them to happen, they don't always happen in the time span that you envision. The universal timing is not one for you to determine. It's up to the universe at the end of the day. So you just got to keep going. The marathon continues. Sometimes you're going to get chin checked. Sometimes, you know, you're going to get tested, but you got to keep going. The marathon continues. And that's what I picked up from Nip with that whole concept of the marathon continues. It's a beautiful thing, and I always say it, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to Larry June. He always says keep going. That's one of my favorite rappers out there, and he's from my city in San Francisco. And I just love music with messages like that of inspiration, and guidance, and providing hope and providing positivity, you know, because hip hop and rap can a lot of times be misconstrued as just a violent type of music. And, you know, there are components of the culture that are very, very violent, that are, you know, they're, let's just flat out say they ain't good. You know, the shit that it promotes in the music sometimes is a lot of death and a lot of killing and eye for an eye type shit, a lot of drugs, a lot of, you know, all sorts of crazy ass shit. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on this shit, and I'm not even trying to talk bad on it because I love hip hop. You know, I even love the ignorant shit, you know what I'm saying? Because it's created a way for so many people to better their situations. But I will say that as I've grown in my own life, I don't look at rap and hip hop the same no more. If I'm gonna listen to music, it has to have some sort of positive message, it has to have some sort of motivational message, inspirational message, you know, and it's gotta actually be an art form rather than just talking about killing each other type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's just not the time I'm on. That's not the vibe I'm on. So take that for what you will. But Nip's music is very powerful. Again, people may not think that he's like the greatest lyricist or whatever, but man, his stories are real, from, you know, his gang life to, you know, how he lives his life. And, you know, Nip always said the highest human act is to inspire. The highest human act is to inspire. That's what Nip always said. And I firmly believe that. And I think that when you really boil things down and you look at life and what's most important, it's the service of other people. It's the service to the world. It's understanding what your gifts are, your natural God-given gifts are, and bringing that out into the world and sharing that with the world in order to make it a better place for everybody, you know. And Nip really embodied that, especially towards the end of his life. He was a beacon of light, man. He served as inspiration to so many people. You know, just the way he was able to create an empire from the streets. You know what I'm saying? Like, he not even supposed to be at that stage in his life ever, you know, based on the odds that are stacked against him from the environment that he comes from. And there's so many people that come from environments like that are designed to keep people down. And Nip found a way. And his story is just amazing. He's gone through so much. I kind of touched on it earlier with a lot of the adversity that he's kind of been through. And he was doing so many great things for the community and for the hood he came from. And more than that, his reach expanded outwards, you know, especially with the rise and the power of the internet, you know, being able to expand your reach towards so many other people, like people back home in Eritrea for him, you know, just love him. You know what I'm saying? His spirit. If you take the time to learn about Nip, you'll know why people really rock with Nip. I mean, his spirit, dude, just is inspiring for real, man. You know, I learned a lot from him. I still continue to learn a lot from him, and he's taught me to think outside of the box. You know, I've listened to so many interviews. I still continue to listen to interviews from him because he drops so much game, and he motivates you. And I think that quote that he says, which is the highest human act is to inspire, is one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard, because that really is the best way to change the world. It's to inspire other people. It's basically it's basically, instead of just doing stuff for people, you're actually teaching people to do things for themselves, helping them be better. And the way you can do that is by living the best life that you can live. And I think that's what Nip realized was with himself. He's like, I got to be the example, because people learn more by what, you know, other people's actions are versus what they say, you know what I'm saying? So I would say that Nipsey, just the way he lived his life towards the end, you know, he was the leader of everything. He was he was really the man with the vision. And if you look at his life and his latest album before he passed away, listen to the music, man, you'll catch everything. It really breaks it down for you. One of the calmest spirits that I've come across in terms of, you know, people that I follow and I study, and I'm forever grateful for what he's brought to the table and how he's helped me in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's Nipsey Hussle in a nutshell, man. On why, you know, he's somebody that I very much look up to, and I've learned from, and I will continue to learn from, and he's somebody that has inspired me with the way he's lived his life. So that's one of the biggest things that one of the biggest reasons why he's a valuable person in my life. Obviously, you know, I got so many other people that I study to help make me better, you know what I'm saying? But in specific, Nip Hussle, these are the reasons why, and these are the things I've learned from him, and I will continue to learn. So with that being said, that's all I got for y'all in terms of the topic of today's episode. I've been having a lot of fun, again, creating these podcast episodes. Like I mentioned, I got so much stuff going on, but my vow to y'all is to at least come up with an episode once a week. And when I get in these zones and these pockets, I really have a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. This is what I feel like one of my God-given talents is to communicate, is to share my voice and to share what I feel is in my heart, and to articulate my thoughts in a manner that is geared towards helping other people. And podcasting really is the perfect platform for me to do that for right now. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, I got all these other visions in my mind of what I want to do and how I can expand my reach and expand my brand more and more to create a deeper and more positive impact on the community and on the world ultimately. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I really rock with y'all for rocking with me. Thank you so much. I from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate y'all. And you're going to continue to see me keep going. The marathon continues for sure on this side. And, you know, by all means, make sure you like and subscribe on this video. If you ain't already doing so, share it with a friend. Drop some comments, man. Hit me up on the Instagram at CL the Source, at CL_ the Source, excuse me, and at Unlocking Levels. I'm all over that motherfucker, man. I'm definitely got a presence online, and I'm definitely trying to step it up even more and more. So I'm gonna continue to keep learning, keep growing, keep going, and just keep elevating, y'all. And I hope you do the same. Till next time, y'all. Peace and love.